Yes, 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 I know you love the mistakes from WWE Royal Rumble, but how about we focus only on the mistakes from the Royal Rumble? It's hard to believe, for example, that a wrestler accidentally fell and got eliminated when, according to the rules, he wasn't supposed to leave. Hard to believe, but it really happened. Now you'll learn about some of the most surprising mistakes in recent Royal Rumble history, or even in the history of this great event. In the 2008 Royal Rumble Hardcore, Holly entered the Royal Rumble match at number 5 after a few minutes had passed. One of the biggest mistakes in that match was about to happen. For many, it's an unforgivable mistake, and that's because Hardcore Holly, when he was being attacked by Undertaker in a corner. Then, the Undertaker sent him outside, and when the aggressive Holly was supposed to hold on, he failed, fell to the ground, and both feet touched 100%. The countdown was approaching for Tommy Dreamer to enter, so most of the arena was focused on the entrance of the new superstar. And I think very few people noticed this huge mistake live. Maybe many realized it during the event replay, or as the years went by. In the Royal Rumble matches, they try to do everything possible to make the eliminations look as believable as possible. Because if a wrestler sells badly, their elimination makes the match lose credibility as well as their opponents. This was a particular case in Royal Rumble 2024, where Bronson Reed eliminated himself. Basically, since Omos sent him to the ropes, and it was Bronson Reed himself who tried to climb to the top rope to eliminate him. Obviously, when Omos saw this, he had to give him a little push so it would look like he was definitely the one eliminating him. But on television, we all saw that it was Bronson Reed himself who jumped over the top rope, making for a very questionable elimination. WWE always has its plan B, yes, just like Triple H said during Seth Rollins' betrayal of the Shield. Not always, but sometimes things go as expected. Let's remember the match where Chris Benoit was supposed to face off like this in Pong. And after his tragic fate, WWE had to add Johnny Nitro at the last minute due to Benoit's absence. Well, this happens in every circumstance. Imagine that WWE gives you the mission to enter the Royal Rumble and last 25 minutes, and you end up lasting about 3 minutes. Why were you accidentally eliminated? Well, this example I'm giving you actually happened in real life. And it happened to Alex Riley, who was eliminated by mistake from the Royal Rumble after not being able to hold on properly. Not even John Cena himself could believe that he was gone. With this wrestler eliminated, he actually had a somewhat important role in those 25 minutes and was supposed to eliminate 2 wrestlers. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it since he wasn't able to hold onto the ring rope properly and ended up falling to the floor. But how did WWE solve this? Well, fortunately, that Royal Rumble had 40 men and the 37th entrant was Santino Marella. And it was him who had to be in charge of bringing the new images and information from production to the superstars who were still in the ring. He had to inform his teammates who they had to eliminate and how they were going to cover Alex Riley's absence in the 30-woman Royal Rumble, where probably one of the worst mistakes of the last 10 years happened. And honestly, we don't know if it's 100% Asuka's mistake, while it's known that the wrestlers need coordination inside the ring. It's also very common in WWE for the superstar to tell their opponent what they should do or what they expect the other wrestler to do. That's how a camera shot showed Asuka asking Kaden Carter and Katana James to eliminate her. "Eliminate me" were the words Asuka said to her opponents. In this case, it's not known if the mistake was really Asuka's or the production's. They didn't switch the camera in time, which made all of us see Asuka's words to her partners in the ring. On January 29, 2022, the Royal Rumble took place, which, as usual, is always held at the beginning of the year. In the 30-man match, Kofi Kingston tried to replicate what he has been doing in the last editions of the Royal Rumble, and I'm talking about his incredible saves. This 2022 Kofi Kingston tried to do the same thing, but he ended up becoming a blooper that's hard to forget. And when Kevin Owens threw him out of the ring, Kofi Kingston couldn't hold on to the ringside barrier enough, and both of his feet ended up touching the ground. Even though this blooper wasn't noticed immediately, it took a few seconds and a replay to realize that Kofi Kingston did touch the ground with both feet, which automatically caused his elimination from the Royal Rumble, a huge mistake that Kofi Kingston surely regretted a lot. This is a rather peculiar mistake that didn't happen exactly inside the ring. Let's go back to the Royal Rumble of 2022, where Ronda Rousey won the Royal Rumble and wanted to celebrate with the traditional point at the WrestleMania sign, something that's already typical for Royal Rumble winners at this point. The real thing about all this is that when Ronda Rousey pointed at the famous sign, it started to catch fire. Parts of the sign on fire started to fall toward where the spectators of the event were. A production mistake that was more than serious. The people who were under the sign had to be moved out of there as an emergency precaution. Finally, the WWE production team arrived as soon as possible to start putting it out. A mistake of this magnitude had never been seen before in WWE. And fortunately, because of this mistake, no one was injured after the horrifying ending of the 1999 Royal Rumble, with Vince McMahon winning the Royal Rumble the following year. There had to be a big celebration to make it up to all the fans, and we could say that's what happened. The Rock would be the one to face Big Show at the end of the Rumble, and The Rock would end up bringing great joy to the fans after eliminating the giant Big Show. However, if we had a more complete view of that moment and in slow motion, we could see that The Rock definitely touched the ground with both feet. We were able to confirm this on a SmackDown show the month after the event, Royal Rumble, where Big Show and the X are reviewing it backstage next to a television. A different angle of The Rock's victory, an angle that hadn't been shown until then. If social media had existed and had been paying attention to this moment, they would have let the whole world know that The Rock wasn't the one who deserved to win that Royal Rumble. However, this went unnoticed by everyone at that time. And through a precise image, that's where we were able to confirm that The Rock did touch the ground with both feet. Something very similar to what happened with Bianca Belair at the 2021 Royal Rumble. But that at least is more debatable. Bianca Belair entered the 2024 Royal Rumble at number 10. She was one of the final four and came pretty close to winning the Royal Rumble for the second time. However, Bianca Belair, when she entered the ring, was just about to fall and land face first on the ground. Since her jump apparently wasn't high enough to get into the ring, as is her custom, Bianca Belair was finally able to hold herself up and continued fighting as if nothing had happened, quickly getting out of this awkward moment. Once again, the 2008 Royal Rumble. After Shawn Michaels eliminated The Undertaker, luck would not stay on his side. He would also be eliminated and would fall right at the feet of the dead man. Luckily, Taker was able to take out his urge to hit someone on Snitsky, whom he placed on the commentary table and delivered a fierce leg drop. As Michaels was leaving the arena, it seemed that the Heartbreak Kid was in quite a hurry, so he didn't notice what was ahead on his way. Cameraman, whom he ended up bumping into. Looking closely at this image, it seems the cameraman is at fault for not knowing Michaels was coming from behind. Or is it Michaels' fault because he was coming straight ahead? Well, that doesn't really matter. What does matter is that this fail was seen by the ringside fans, who, by the way, laughed. Pretty important. If we talk again about coordination in the Royal Rumble, it's necessary for moments to be created that we'll remember as time goes by. The whole atmosphere is set up to make it even more incredible. For example, during Jade Cargill's debut, Nia Jax had destroyed all the opponents in the ring, leaving only herself standing and waiting for the next entrant. Obviously, this made Nia Jax look much more imposing, and Jade Cargill's entrance made the fans feel that she could actually beat her. However, Zoe Stark forgot about this, and when Nia Jax was standing alone in the ring, she tried to get up to go attack her. But the referee, who was on the side of the ring, asked her to please stay on the ground, so that Jade Cargill's debut moment would really look like a big deal, because if Zoe Stark had gotten up and started attacking Nia Jax, the meaning of Jade Cargill's entrance would have looked different. On the other hand, if Nia Jax had all the women destroyed in the ring, the main focus would go to Jade Cargill, because people would feel that she's the one who can really take down Nia Jax. Maxine Dupree entered the 2024 Royal Rumble with number 18. It was her first time participating in this type of match, and she tried to show her best, although her big mistake happened right when she entered. She tried to do a head scissors with her legs on Bayley, and unfortunately, everything went wrong. Bayley didn't know how to defend against the move, and Maxine ended up falling almost right on Bayley's face. Apparently, Maxine needed a much better grip and more speed to perform this move. However, shortly after, she tried to apply the same move to Bayley again. And although it turned out better than the first attempt, it still wasn't 100% good either. In this case, we could understand that maybe nerves got the best of her. Royal Rumble 2023. It had everything. Nia Jax made a long-awaited return at the Royal Rumble, since she hadn't been seen since 2021. And even though she lasted very little time in the ring, the fans were already happy enough just to see her at the Royal Rumble. However, there was a huge mistake, and believe me when I say huge, I mean huge in every sense of the word. As far as I remember, a count or a participant had gotten ahead of the official count by mistake. Well, this is exactly what happened with Nia Jax. Her Titantron and graphics appeared on the Titantron at ringside, and her music suddenly started playing. Without waiting for the countdown and without any prior warning. In fact, you can even see the countdown disappear, and even the entrance bell rang, but only when Nia Jax was already on her way to the ring. A huge mistake and lack of coordination from WWE's production, which revealed a surprise a few seconds too early. I think this is the first time I've had a bonus track in my series of mistakes that have happened. However, and obviously it's a moment that absolutely can't be left out for any reason. And that's because when Drew McIntyre hit Cody Rhodes with the fierce Claymore kick in the Men's Royal Rumble, he ended up knocking out one of his teeth. Because of the force of the move, Cody Rhodes quickly started bleeding from his mouth. Wow, can you even imagine taking a huge kick from Drew McIntyre to the chin? Even so, Cody Rhodes managed to make it to the end of the match however he could, and ended up winning the 30-man Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble 2024. However, we still don't know what happened to his tooth, since we all saw it left in the middle of the ring. Kevin Owens faced Roman Reigns in the main event in a match that had everything from incredible stunts to great extreme moments. Well, and what can I say about what happened after the match? Sami Zayn's betrayal made the arena explode. Although unexpected events rarely happen in main events, there's always something that tends to show up at a certain point in the match. There was a small problem when Kevin Owens fell from the top rope and landed on the Tribal Chief. While he just wanted to jump from the top rope, Kevin Owens, seeing that he missed this move, decided to climb back up to the top rope and perform another move. But his mistake happened seconds before when Kevin Owens jumped, and it seemed like the ropes were a bit slippery, which caused Owens to end up falling off the top rope. Roman Reigns tried to get out of the way, but he wasn't fast enough and ended up trapped under Owens when he fell. Wow, a mistake that might be forgotten or go unnoticed because of everything that happened afterward. We were all surprised by the great way the Royal Rumble started. Wow, Rey Mysterio and Penta, it's impossible to believe this amazing moment just a few years ago, right? However, Penta's debut in the Royal Rumble was marked by something that all the fans remember, and I think it became the biggest controversy of this edition. And that's because when Rey Mysterio and Penta started fighting, at one point, Rey Mysterio tried to hit him with a reverse Hurricane Rana to try to eliminate him from the match. The exact moment when the wrestler from Calypso is clearly seen touching the ground with both feet. The people who were present at the event noticed this mistake immediately. The stadium went wild, and from what I read on social media, millions of viewers around the world noticed it too. The arena didn't forgive this mistake, and I think the only thing that made people stop talking about it and forget this incident was the next entrance that was coming up. We're talking about number 3, which was Chad Gable, as it then moved to another moment. Nothing further was mentioned about this incident. My god, what I imagined was being Penta at that moment. Just think about it. In his Royal Rumble debut, he got to enter with a very important number. He began the match with Rey Mysterio and accidentally touched the ground with both feet. Everyone noticed this mistake. Uncle Howdy made a surprise appearance after the end of the pitch black match at the Royal Rumble and tried to make his own move. The masked man jumped from the top of the arena onto LA Knight after Bray Wyatt's victory. But a video from fans in the arena showed that he was inches away from his target. After the jump, the place erupted, making it hard to see that it was a mistake from the camera's initial angle. But footage from the fans, as you're seeing right now, proves that he wasn't close to Knight. Instead, Uncle Howdy falls to the ground alone, and then you can see that Knight has to roll toward him. That's why the other camera angle makes the move look much closer. Well, if movies have magic, why not WWE? The Women's Royal Rumble was incredible. However, as the match began, we saw her enter at number 4, Lyra Valkyria, who, although she had a great performance in the match, we can't forget about a major mishap she went through. It turns out that after giving Io Sky a suplex, her outfit came loose from her neck. And Lyra Valkyria was about to show everything, something that everyone in the arena noticed at that moment. Although Lyra tried not to pay much attention to this, she tried to tie her outfit again and continue fighting, but it didn't stay on her neck anymore. And Lyra had no choice but to keep improvising. She even had to throw Io Sky against the ropes and couldn't keep attacking her because she had to worry about her outfit, which was already falling off too much. Lynn Morgan apparently noticed this mistake and decided to send her to the corner with a strike. At that moment, Lyra took the opportunity to stay on the ground and properly fix her outfit with the help of the referees. Without a doubt, it was a more than uncomfortable moment for Lyra Valkyria, but she was finally able to resolve it after a few minutes.